And we're live.
Good evening.
Good evening out there in YouTube land. Hey, first off, I want to thank everyone. We are currently at 109 subscribers in 10 days.
Pretty awesome.
That is phenomenal. YouTube puts out there that you can get a custom URL after 100 subscriptions and 30 days. Apparently, it's just 100 subscriptions because the norm is 2 to 3 months to get 100. So we want to thank you guys first and foremost for what you're doing. Keep it up. We're doing this for you guys and to have some fun and some fellowship. So thank you.
Yep. And tonight we're gonna discuss some things you may or may not have known about Masonic history in Georgia, and some other Masonic things. We may even let the non-Masons know some of these Masonic secrets that we have. You know, as Masons, we all know that the rules we must follow. Sometimes that gets it's a gray area, but with us, it's not. It's pretty cut and dry, and it's pretty black and white. But we're going to do a did you know session, and I'll start most of the things I'm going to ask. I'm going to say, did you know? And we'll go from there. It should be informative, yet some things that, especially younger Masons that may be watching us, and those non-Masons, we may or may not, or you may or may not know these things about Masonry in Georgia. So I would like to define how I view what a leader should do and how a leader should act, because as a Mason, when you become a Mason, you're a leader without knowing it, because you have to set the example for others. And when you have to set the example for others, that makes you a leader. And whether you like it or you don't, you've got that title. So, but I like to start off welcoming everybody. I see that we got quite a few on already, and Worst Brother Joe Calvert and Worst Brother Anthony Lawshie. It's good to see you, brother. But my personal definition of a leader is someone who puts those that he or she is responsible for in a position to be successful. Because if you make those around you successful, your job as the leader is pretty easy. With that definition, we should, as Masonic leaders, do all we can in this lockdown, this virus situation that we got going on in the world. We have got to make sure that we are in the forefront. We're staying in contact with our members, because we know how fast the world was already. So now the focus has shifted. So we got also in that family circle to make sure that all Masons are still involved in the family. Because what are we going to do? We'll start going somewhere else. So we want to make sure we keep our members involved. All of you that have been a worshipful master at one time or another during your installation, you were told that you're not only to be its leader, but its greatest servant. I believe that to be true in your regular life too. If you're going to be the leader of your household, then you've got to be the leader. You've got to be at the forefront. You must be the greatest servant in your own house. So with that said, that is my definition of a leader and how I view leaders should be in this world. Now, do we have that all the time? Not necessarily. You'll see Will and I going through here, and we'll keep doing. You'll see me looking at my phone. We'll look at his. There's brethren all over the country that are texting me wanting to know the link and things like that, and I'm not very good at multitasking. For those that live here in the county in Gwinnett, I hope that you've all received your multi-pass and still allows you to go to work. That's a coined a phrase from the movie The Fifth Element. They have to travel with their multi-pass everywhere they go. But as we go on through the night, just know I'm going to give you out some interesting things. And if I see something that you guys have a question, or will you at any time please stop me and say, hey, we got a question from a brother, and we'll stop and talk about it.
Well, and one of the things you're going to notice tonight, we don't have our live cast up on the stream tonight. A couple of technical issues there, and also if you notice, Wiley and I have a little space between us tonight.
We're six-ish
feet apart. Nobody's sick, so we're good there. But tonight you're going to hear mostly Wiley talk. I'll interject a few things.
Of course, that's nothing new.
Yeah. Tonight, bear in mind that when you type something up here and it comes up in live chat, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. Brother Mike Basier asked, are those Masonic Challenge coins on the wall? Yes, and there are quite a few of them, and he's probably packed some up too. So,
yeah, those are from many years and years of collecting this stuff. I got all of my lapel pins. They're also in shadow boxes such as those, and I have 4 of those that hang on the wall. I've been fortunate to be all over this great country and give Masonic talks out there. So, yes, Brother Mike, those are just some of the ones that I have. So we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start with, did you know that Solomon's Lodge in Savannah is the oldest English constituted lodge in the Western Hemisphere?
That'll surprise a lot of folks.
Now, if you're from up north, you know, Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania tends to want to argue and this and that and the other, but we've claimed that title for many, many years. Freemasonry, it was Solomon's Lodge itself was established in 1734 as Lodge number 139 in Savannah in Ye Old Providence of Georgia. The lodge didn't receive its name of Solomon's Lodge till sometime later, maybe 1771 to 1776. Don't really know that history for sure. I do know that it's in that 5-year time period they received their official name. And also another tidbit for those who may not know that Solomon's Lodge has not always met in the Cotton Exchange there on River Street. They originally met off site, and then they moved to that building in the 1970s. Did you know that the first lodge meeting in Georgia was held by General James Oglethorpe? It was held in Liberty County in the town of Sunbury. This happened in February of 1734, and not long after, you know, it was chartered. We got chartered as that lodge there in Ye Old Providence of Georgia. General James Oglethorpe, you know, he was the founder of Georgia. His family passed on a Bible that's usually on display down there at Solomon's Lodge. The guys at Solomon's are very receptive and very. They're just so nice when you go there. I've enjoyed my many visits there to Solomon's Lodge. Let's see.
Now, I just want to throw this in there. Tonight, we've hit a peak so far tonight. We're at 40 concurrent viewers, which our highest have been 31 so far. So we're growing. We love it. It's harder for us to keep up with the chat that way. I know it's not super busy tonight, but bear in mind that we will get to you if you get in chat and type something. We're not going to leave you hanging. So bear with us as we get through the text, as it gets more full tonight.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notifications if you want to see us again. You know, we're just 2 old guys just trying to have a good time. So we were talking about how General Oglethorpe had the first meeting there at Sunbury. There was a big oak tree that the meeting was held at, right? Well, it no longer exists. But Liberty County is not in Savannah. So, you know, Savannah is in Chatham County. So it's a little bit different county, but it's just up the road. But did you know that the Grand Lodge of Georgia was not formally formed until 50 plus years later?
Why?
Well, at that time, there were basically only 4 lodges in the state of Georgia at that time. There was one in Washington, one in Augusta, 2 in Savannah area. But one of the lodges in Savannah, you know, some of the brethren got mad at the other ones. They decided they're going to open up another lodge. So they petitioned the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania and got their charter from them. And it was number 42 was the name of their lodge. But it's in the rolls of the Pennsylvania Grand Lodge that they requested this charter. And so in December 6th, of 1786.
Wiley was really young then.
Yeah, pretty close. But in 1786, in the 6th of December, these 4 lodges got together and met, and that was the first meeting of the Grand Lodge of Georgia. And they formed it at that time, so they elected William Stevens. Okay, William Stevens was the first Grand Master in the state of Georgia. Okay, so with that, when they formed this Grand, they elected him as Grand Master, but he also was the first U.S. court judge in the state of Georgia as well. So he's a pretty powerful guy, as was most Masons of that time period. You know, you were very prominent in that time period. So a little bit later on, probably about 10 years later, February 6th of 1796, the Grand Lodge of Georgia was incorporated with perpetual duration by the Georgia General Assembly.
So,
and it's delivered down every day, or every year it's delivered. So what do you think that perpetual duration means?
Forever.
Forever. That we are eternal or unlimited duration of existence, as passed down by the state legislature. Now I wonder how many Grand Lodges around the country and the world can really say that.
Yeah.
That is perpetuated every year.
So real quick, Osborne had a question. Ye olde province of Georgia, was Solomon a charter under Scotland?
Negative. Grand Lodge of England.
Grand Lodge of England. Okay. I thought that's what you said,
but General Oglethorpe was English, and
right.
He served the king at that time. And when General Oglethorpe was here, you know, took a while to get back across the pond for that to happen. So we're an English derivative lodge. I mean, we're based on that same foundation as the formation during the 1717 merger there to form the Grand Lodge of England. Let's see. So I hope that gives you a little insight of how the formation of the Grand Lodge of Georgia started, especially for those who may be non-Masons that are on our link or on our cast tonight. But I gave this presentation somewhat similar at our leadership conference back in 2019.
Captive audience.
It was a little bit different situation then because I was speaking specifically to Masonic leaders, and tonight I'm speaking to anybody in the world basically that wants to listen. But the big thing for me is to share some insight about Masonic things that maybe people don't know.
Right.
I mean, you know as well as I do, you and I come in contact with folks on a daily basis. Wow, I didn't know that about Freemasons. I didn't know Freemasons did this and Freemasons did that.
Well, one of the cool things to talk about, a point that you just made, I was talking to a brother after our last cast last Thursday on my way home, and he told me that he's watching it with his wife or significant other, and I know other brothers are too, and he really likes the fact that he gets to share what we do and what we're about with his family members.
Well, you know, you guys saw last week, my daughter was very interactive.
Absolutely.
You know, of course, my daughter has the gift that her dad has that sometimes it's a curse. Both don't know when to, you know.
It's a gift of gab.
Yeah, and we tend to be blessed with that in this household. Good evening, Worst Brother Mark. It's good to see you as usual. But as we'll continue on in our talk about Did You Know? And we're going to talk now specifically lodge-related things that people may or may not know. These are these secrets, right? So, do you know the reason why we call the brother who is in charge of the lodge the Worshipful Master?
Well, the folks in text are probably seeing me put WB in front of some names for Worshipful Brothers.
So the thing is we don't worship that dude sitting in that chair.
No.
The leader of our lodges is called the Worshipful Master. The Worshipful Master is usually in his position for 12 months. Sometimes guys get recycled through multiple times in multiple lodges. I feel sorry for those brethren that have to do it multiple times, but it was still a great event in my life as well. But the term worshipful is an old English term meaning honorable. You know, like the honorable judge or honorable other things, you know. Mm-hmm. So also in addition to that, you have in French it would have been venerable.
Right.
So, you know, thus in some of the other things that we belong to, you know, venerable is used in a lot of our other stuff. It's used in the Scottish Rite. It's used in the AMD. And other things that the Allied Masonic degrees, for those who don't know what AMD is. But the one thing, we don't call him worshipful because he's definitely not better than us. That's for sure. He'll keep that title of worshipful brother forever. If he's been fortunate enough to be elected into a lodge as its leader, as worshipful master, then he will be called worshipful brother forever. You know, we all, a lot of the folks that go in mine and your circle will, is, you know, that we all believe the greatest title is brother. It always will be brother. But along with advancing yourself in Masonic activities comes certain honors that are bestowed upon you. And the title worshipful brother is very honorable, and it should not be taken lightly, ever, in any case, for that matter. If you were to be fortunate enough to be appointed to our Grand Line, eventually you would be called Most Worshipful Brother. And that is the title of the Most Worshipful Grand Master of Masons in Georgia, or any other state for that matter, or Grand Lodge. But anyway, so I'm going to share some things that are really going to hit home with some Masons. It might even upset a few, because
Wiley upset someone?
Because I've traveled thousands and thousands of miles across this state, and you know, the one thing you always hear is, you know, Grand Lodge this, Grand Lodge that, blah blah blah.
I know where you're going.
And it gets kind of, you know, it gets kind of disheartening at times, because I want to set the record straight about some things that I don't think brethren understand. And for non-Masons, this may not have any relevance to you, but for us Masons in the state of Georgia, this will carry a little weight. You know, the Grand Master and his Grand Lodge officers are not sitting in Macon, Georgia during the quarantine in their glass house looking over all of us and saying, well, what can we do to them? The Grand Master and the Grand Lodge officers all come from their own walks of life and their own business situations. You know, some have been more fortunate than others to go ahead and retire. Some are working, you know. Overall, you know, these gentlemen still carry on careers just like all of us. And of course, now most of us, our careers are on hold right now because we don't know what's going on. But overall, these are men who were chosen just as lodge officers were chosen to lead our fraternity. Not just an individual lodge, but to lead the entire fraternity. So we need to understand that these brethren come from their whole walks of life as well too. We, as in all Masonic leaders, or in leaders in general, we all have tough decisions we have to make, and we all have things that we have to do in order to guide and direct our brethren, not tell them what to do. Good to see you tonight, worship Brother Kelly.
They're telling right now, everyone's going through. Someone said post where you're from, so we've got folks from Bethlehem and Cletus and Houston and Elberton, Decula.
Where is Orchard Hill? Is that near Griffin?
Allegheny, Orchard Hill. I mean, we've got folks from all over the state here. Anyone from out of state, please post if you're from out of state. We'd love to see that on here.
So anyway, so I'm talking about the Grand Lodge officers and what they do, and those fellas are probably our greatest support system if we'll just talk to them. You know, they're having a tough time right now because we don't know which way to go. I mean, there's not one Mason in this state or around the world that has the perfect answer. You know, you have to what was it? We just got to love on them.
Alpine Lodge, number 211 in
Menlo.
That's almost out of state. Sorry to interrupt you there. That's
So
kind of funny.
so anyway, Tyler Pledger, Brush Brother Tyler Pledger, actually lives in the city of Chelsea, Georgia.
Really?
So that's in the northwest corner of the state. So we won't hold that against him. That's Ray Knittle's territory. So, past Grandmaster up there and some others. So, but
I got
anyway,
off topic. Sorry.
Yeah, a tangent. So I told you earlier I couldn't multitask it at all. So we'll get back focused to what we're talking about. But anyway, those Grand Lodge leaders are definitely there to support us during these times, and they probably like to hear from somebody, every once in a while as well. So that leads me on to my next question. Do you actually know who the Grand Lodge is?
Let's see if anyone answers that. Who is the Grand Lodge?
So that's a question for all of our viewers tonight. Who do you think the Grand Lodge is? Do you know who that is?
We'll leave it. We'll let it go for a few moments here. We got one answer.
That's close.
It's close, but not quite right. And Michelle is yelling at us from the other room, so I had to throw that out there because.
She didn't hold a pillow on my face to try to smell out the coronavirus, like what happened to one of my good brethren I read today.
Close, Mike.
Closer, Ed.
Yep.
So, I'm going to break this down for everybody. Okay?
Break it down, brother.
The Grand Lodge of Georgia is made up of all the past masters and current sitting worshipful masters in our lodges in Georgia. These brethren, not just the Grand Lodge officers, are responsible for meeting to decide legislation once a year in the city of Macon on the fourth Tuesday and Wednesday in October of, like
Tuesday
I said,
and Wednesday
of each year, and this is called our Grand Lodge session. So every year, just like in a regular lodge, we get a new set of Grand Lodge officers. Some of them stay on to run out their tenure, but understand what I'm telling all of you. The Grand Lodge consists of the past masters and the sitting masters in the state of Georgia. So when someone's upset or we're in the Grand Lodge session and somebody says, well, you guys did this or you guys do this and you sit down here and do that, understand that every Grand Lodge officer has the same one vote that you have. So if there's 11 of them, that's 11 votes. But they got 11 individual votes. As when you become a past master in the state of Georgia, you're a permanent member of our Grand Lodge. So you have voting privileges in our Grand Lodge until you pass away or you're no longer a Mason. So we need to understand those things when we're trying to get ourselves and try to go about debating things. Understand that each Grand Lodge officer and each voting member in that room has one vote. No one person's vote carries any more weight than the other. So that's who the Grand Lodge is. Right. So, well, when the Grand Lodge is, we hear these comments in lodges, and we hear them, Will. We've heard them for years. Well, the Grand Lodge is trying to do this, and the Grand Lodge is trying to do that. So, brethren, you're trying to do this to yourself if you're doing it, because you are the Grand Lodge. So, I say that sort of jokingly, but it's a serious thing. The us against them against us, it doesn't work that way. The Grand Lodge of Georgia, free and accepted Masons, is all the past masters and current sitting masters in the state of Georgia, including the Grand Master and his officers.
And they only get one vote.
One vote. I want you guys to understand, one vote.
Worship Brother Mark Bradley makes a good point. We should all exercise that voting responsibility.
So
it is a responsibility.
Yeah, and you'll hear me say something in a few minutes that'll, when we get down to another topic, that's going to really resonate with what Worship Brother Mark just said. So understand, guys, sometimes it does sound like I'm preaching, but I think you need to hear it. And if I didn't think you needed to hear it, then I probably wouldn't say it. Because even though I like to hear myself talk, Will doesn't. So anyway, so we talked about that. So we've established who the Grand Lodge is, how it was established, how it come about. Now we're going to talk about the Worshipful Master's his responsibilities. You know, did you know that the Worshipful Master is the one in charge of the lodge, not the secretary?
No, that's not true.
That's a fact.
No, that's not true.
That's a fact.
Now, wait a minute. Are you sure?
I am positive because you know, we elected that guy to put that funny hat on.
But we also elected the secretary.
But we elected the guy to tell him that he is to rule and govern this lodge.
Oh, okay.
We didn't tell the secretary that he was going to rule and govern the lodge.
Any arguments on that?
You know, I'm really waiting to hear from that because that's a hot topic. The fact is the Worshipful Master is the person in charge of that lodge and all things in that lodge for 12 months or until his successor is elected and installed. It's hard to believe, fellas, but the secretary doesn't run the lodge. Don't tell any secretaries I said that, but it's the truth.
Do we have any secretaries watching this cast? And while I've got a second in edgewise here, if you're watching the stream and you haven't subscribed to us, please subscribe to us. We're going to do this every Tuesday and Thursday until this Corona thing lifts. And then from there, we'll figure out what we're going to do, whether it's going to be recorded or live. But please subscribe to us. Help us grow this channel. Help get it out to more brethren. We're doing this not only for the state of Georgia and the brothers in the state. We're doing this for brethren around the world. We want this thing to grow. We would love this thing to get big. And we want everyone to have Masonic Follow Me on the top of their head. By the way, getting 100 subscribers last night, I got a ding from YouTube saying, hey, you're qualified for a custom URL. So we have a custom URL now. It's not exactly what I wanted. Masonic Follow Me was what we have on everything else, but YouTube would let me have that. So YouTube now, to get to our channel, our base channel on YouTube, it's youtube.com/followmemasonic. You'll see links in the show notes that'll take you to a place where you can actually just click there. If you look at our show notes down below the stream, it'll always be there. We've got it up on Facebook and everything. So please like and subscribe to our channel so we can get this out to more and more brethren. Worship Brother Wiley and I, we love doing this. The more we do it, the more we love it. I wish we could live streams or just record after we get off here and run around the house. We're pumped. It's just like getting out of a Masonic meeting. You're just pumped. You've got that fire just going on in you. That happens to us after a cast. You can ask Michelle. I'm sure she'll post something in chat about that because we enjoy doing this.
But we do keep our distance now. We're practicing safety measures up here. I do see we have one secretary up there, but he'll probably not agree with the last comments we made, but it's fact. So if something goes south in a lodge and something goes bad in a lodge, who do you think is going to be responsible for that? That's that Worshipful Master. He's the one that's going to take the brunt and going to take the hit for it. So,
Brother Tony Dickerson said to tell you to preach it.
I'm preaching it tonight, but it's the same. But this is the kinder version than what they got at the leadership conference. Those were down at the 2019 MLC got to see a different version of this that was more spirited. There's a few things I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about extinguishing the us against them mentality. We are one group of free and accepted Masons in the state of Georgia. Okay, we're one group.
You keep getting a little hot there on the mic.
Well, I get hot because I'm getting excited.
You might have to pat that forehead.
But we're not the Grand Lodge leadership versus the members, guys. We are the Grand Lodge of Georgia. I don't care if you're the youngest entered apprentice or the oldest past master or the oldest member. You're just as valuable. So why would we want to ever disrupt that?
Right.
And why can't we bring that closer now in the time? when the time is really volatile in the world, we need this. Yeah. I need this in my life. I need this happiness. I need the feel of fellowship, the feel of camaraderie. I feel that we need this more than ever.
Well, think about this. Right now, this is kind of cool. The lodge I'm from, Decula, is a smaller lodge. I've been to Buford several times where I worked for Brother Wiley's past master at, and I've been to several other lodges around the state. We currently have, including me and Wiley here, we currently have 50 folks in lodge tonight. I know there's some ladies here with us and some others, but that doesn't matter. We're here with 50 people. That is phenomenal if you think about it. Imagine sitting in a lodge with 50 people.
That's right. It's pretty awesome. It'd be pretty good right now. The question is, how often do we do the broadcast? Go ahead and answer that, Will, and I'll do it verbally. We're gonna do this on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just like a lodge meeting night at 7:30, as long as Will and I can put something together. So we'll go back to our thing and finish up probably the next 5 or 10 minutes. I'm skipping over a few things that I don't think that we need to discuss now.
He wrote 3 pages of notes for tonight. He knew he wouldn't go over all of them, but this brother spent a good portion of time sitting down and figuring out some did you know stuff that we could put out to the public and have fun with tonight. So I hope everyone's having fun. If you're having fun, give us a thumbs up.
So during all this mess and all this stuff that's going on in the world, always remember that whatever you post on social media, it's there forever. If you're out there looking at stuff that you probably shouldn't be looking at and sharing it and posting it all, remember that's someone's only impression of you, or could be their only impression of any Mason that they know. Please don't post anything negative about any brother or any group of Masons on Facebook. This should never ever be. You should never air your dirty laundry on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of the other social media outlets, because once it's there, and you can never take that back. You don't ever have a chance to make amends for that, because somebody's going to stumble across it later on, and you just created more harm to the brother than you will ever know. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So practice good etiquette when you're posting on social media. We're supposed to be.
Oh, he's reading a post.
We're supposed to be better than what I see sometimes on Facebook or sometimes on Twitter. We've got to be better than that stuff, and we need to figure out how to hold each other accountable. Don't call a brother out on social media. Call him on the phone. Send him a text. Hey, brother, I'd like to talk to you or something. Don't ever degrade a brother in a public forum. It's sort of like in your business. You praise in public, criticize in private.
I mean, I had this happen to me. A brother posted on Facebook something that he really shouldn't have. He did it in anger and haste. I immediately called the brother up and said, "Brother, please remove that and let's talk about it." The brother removed it. We discussed it. He realized he did it in partial anger. Mm-hmm. And he's glad he removed that within a couple of minutes of it being put up, so that most people didn't see it.
So yeah, and we got to pay attention to those things, Will, because that could be detrimental to your career or anything else when you're posting negatively on Facebook and any social media outlet.
Remember that someone's going to see that post, and that's the only vision of a Mason they'll have. Remember that. We're Masons 24/7.
Yeah, and First Brother Ivy Smith made a comment about avoid censor and reproach. Remember, we learned that in an apprentice degree. So, but now it's time for a few PSAs, because I got to give some plugs out. I mean, I've ridiculed a lot of people or a lot of things that we don't do right, but we do some things very well. For those of you who don't know, for all of you who may not be a Mason in the state of Georgia, we have the Masonic Home of Georgia. We've been taking care of families and kids, mainly kids, for the last 70 years. But we have this house in Macon, Georgia. It sits on 600 acres. It's
this is another did you know thing.
We just built cottages down there that put our kids in family units. And this is a big plug for Gary Monk, by the way, who I saw was on tonight. Anyway. It's a very unique treasure. It's been open since 1905. It was constructed while Max Mayhart was a Grand Master. Max Mayhart was a past master of Cherokee Lodge number 66 in Rome. While
you're looking at that, can you all hear me better now? Because I've actually moved the mic and I've moved some stuff out of my way between me and the microphone.
So they probably can hear you, but not as good as me.
Well, I don't try to talk that loud.
Well, you're not that good either, so remember.
Whatever.
And Worst Brother Joe, by the way, Will has still not graduated to a proper chair. But anyway, with the Masonic home in Georgia, there's only 2 or 3 of these left in the United States that are solely operated to take care of children. And we do this clearly. We take care of those children. All the Masons in Georgia do. Do you know that we also have a Masonic Charities Foundation? The Masonic Charities Foundation, Inc. is a 501c3 entity that helps us fund, give to Demolay, Rainbow, Georgia CHIP program, the Children's Garden at the Masonic Home. We need to make sure that we figure out ways to contribute more to the Masonic Charities Foundation.
What is Demolay and Rainbow?
Well, Demolay is the young gentleman's group from the ages of 12 to 20. They have certain rituals and stuff, and they're usually sponsored by Masonic Lodge. They can't have one without being sponsored by Masonic Lodge. And then you have the Rainbow International Order Rainbow for Girls. They go from the age of 11 to 20 as well, and they're taught on the colors of the rainbow and the bow stations and what they do with those things, and how they, look up your nearest Rainbow and Demolay chapter and assembly and see if you can take with those.
Can we pass the hat to your Worst Brother Will a chair? At least I'm not sitting on a cardboard box.
Well, the cardboard box over in the corner.
Oh.
So anyway, we've talked about some of those things. We're coming to close to the end of this, and we have to give Glad a prompt and a shout out. Do you know what Glad, or Grandview as most of you call it, do you know what it was established for? It's a database that was established so that we could keep up with the history of who you are.
Whether you're signed into it or not, and signing into it takes just a couple of moments. But even if you're not signed into it, your Masonic history is put in that database. And also, right now they're scanning several 100,000 documents that will be added to GLAD of all of our history. They eventually want it where if someone comes into the state and they want to know their great-great-grandfather was a Mason, and they want to look up his record, we'll eventually be able to get to all that information in GLAD. So it's not a way for Big Brother to spy on you. It's not the Grand Lodge's way of, we want to get your stuff. It's a way to preserve our history. Those old cards, they're being scanned optically, and they're going to be recorded so that if something were to happen, we never lose that information. So this is there to help those in Georgia keep up with their Masonic histories. So
if you haven't signed up for Grandview, go to the Grand Lodge of Georgia webpage, glofga.org, hit member portal, and it'll take you to where you need to go, and it'll help you get signed up. It'll say register and all that stuff. It takes about 2 minutes.
And it costs nothing.
And it costs you nothing. And important messages from the Grand Lodge, from the Grand Lodge office, is sent to you, via this, and it's a way to instant message to all of us and give you an important message. Okay?
Well, and it's not only that, but you can put your spouse's information in there. You can put keep your anniversary in there. You can keep your current your address up to date on your own. So if you move, you can go in there and change it yourself, so you continue to get your Masonic Messenger here in Georgia. You can update your phone number. So understand that only the administrators of the database and your local lodge secretary are the only ones that can see your information. No one else can see your information. No one. So if I go into there and look up information on Brother Mike Basir, I'm not going to see anything but that he's a Master Mason he's a Master Mason in Decula, Georgia. I'm not going to see his personal information. So don't be afraid that people are going to see this information. And those that have administrative access are under very good rules to not give that information out.
So in on Grandview or on Glad, you and I, we term it Glad often. In the members resource page, all you gotta do is hit resources, and you can find the Masonic code. It's right there, ready for you to look at. And big shout out to Worst Brother Tom Bruce and some others and myself who have been working on the Masonic code for 2 years to take out all the grammatical errors and some of the mistakes that have been made. And with that said, we'll move on to our last 2 topics. We got 2 more topics. Okay.
Hey, we've still got a strong audience, and they're still active. So, if you got some questions about something that we haven't touched on, ask it while he's going over these last few things.
All right. So we developed our podcast based on the 2 words of follow me.
Mm-hmm.
You heard me in the very first one talk about why I felt that those were the 2 most important words in all of Freemasonry. And here's a little bit better description. Okay. If you're in a lodge and we're doing certain things, there's a brother who tells you to follow you every time, everywhere you go during our stuff. I will tell you that what's he saying to that particular person? I'll lead you down the path. I will put you on the path. So you're already a Mason, stood where that individual may have stood at that one time. You may have had yourself in a position in life that person to stand in front of you may have already traveled. It's up to you as a Masonic leader to mentor that person and counsel them and comfort them, just as you promised that you would. We've got to try to be a positive influence. We've got to try to give off good vibes. We got to try to live Masonry as it was taught to you. Being a Mason is just not going to meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
It's dinner.
It's a whole life.
It is.
It's a lifestyle. It is the way that you should be. You promise to be, and you very well need to be. So, you should live the example of what you think a Mason is every day and how a Mason should be. This should not be when it is the easiest or convenient for you to do so. There are many times in life when being a Mason is very hard. It is very hard to keep up with the promises that you made as a Mason. The way you promised to conduct yourselves. Your positive words, your positive actions could be very well saving someone in our fraternity. You don't know those things right now. And the last thing is did you know that Freemasonry is about a man's walk and discovery of himself? So you're already, walking and saying, well, my walk with my Creator and things like that. But self-discovery and how a man looks at himself on the inside, it is probably the greatest lesson I ever learned from my mentor. When you were an apprentice, they told you that they give you your apron that first time, and they said, if this apron's worn the right way, it's not only going to bring honor to the fraternity, but it's going to bring pleasure to yourself. So think about that. They set down the rules and how you should follow and act and be yourself. As Masons, we should ask ourselves every day, and especially now while the world is in panic mode, we're on our heels, we've took a stiff left hook in our jaw again. Am I worthy to put that white apron on again? Am I worthy? Mm-hmm. Have I lived by the principles of Freemasonry? Have I treated my family that way, my friends, my work people? Have I loved on them harder? Have I done the right things when the right thing wasn't popular? Because it's always the right time to do the right thing. Have I treated others according to the tenets of Freemasonry and what Freemasonry taught us in the very beginning? I always want to look at myself and say, when I'm standing alone before the great throne of judgment, there to receive judgment for what I've done here in the body, have I done all that I can do to be a positive impact and an impact player in people's lives? If I can go and stand there in front of that great throne and receive that kind of judgment, and he looks at me and says, well done, my good and faithful brother.
Now hush.
Now, it's time for you to lay the working tools down. But that's my take of what Freemasonry is and how it's a man's self-improvement.
And brethren, always remember that what Wiley and I put out here is our opinion. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, and we want those opinions to come through in the chat. Please let us know if you have a different opinion. If you don't feel like sharing it here, feel free to contact one of us. We're open and willing to share other opinions. We grow by learning from you guys as well. I know it seems kind of one way because we're putting it out to you, but we want that input from you. Here, like, what's our next cast going to be? Someone give me a topic on what our next cast should be about. We want that kind of input raw from you guys, and the stuff that's been on the chat tonight has been fantastic.
It's the best one yet.
Oh yeah.
That's because I've talked the most. That's why it's the best one yet.
Well, I'm not sure how many people have their volume turned up. That's probably why they couldn't hear me, because they turned their volume down so they didn't have to hear you.
Well, next week I promise to have my white handkerchief and I promise to have a bigger bottle of water. I know it's all fun and games, and sometimes it does sound like that I am preaching, but brethren, if there's a message to be brought, trust me, I am not afraid to bring that message. And if I believe in my heart, and Will and I discussed it prior to, he said, maybe you shouldn't say that, but if it comes out, it comes out, because I'm very passionate about who we are as Masons. Being a Mason shaped my life. It helped me become the man that I know I want to be. And I learned every day, even in the down times when we're not in lodge and we're not fellowshipping. And this is a great way for me to get it out, because, it's sort of like, sometimes you feel like your head's about to explode. Well, if I don't talk to somebody, and some of my friends don't know, they just don't know what I need to hear. But anyway, we hope everybody's enjoyed tonight's show, and we hope that y'all will send us a topic, those that have our phone numbers.
Well, we do have two topics that have been brought up. One's a 4-part series about cardinal virtues. That would actually be pretty good. And then a show about honestly. So there's a couple of good ideas there. And brethren, we're going to have a ton of topics and a ton of things to talk about. So keep these ideas flowing in. And I
don't know if anybody can handle a topic on honesty coming out of my mouth. That's just for all of you, because some of us can't handle honesty very well. And I'm not saying any names, and I'm not saying I see anybody out there tonight, but I will tell you that sometime the reality is the honesty can't be handled, because someone don't want to, it's just not a good vibe. I don't know if I'm ready to do that kind of show yet. That's a little too serious for me, and it really hits me, and it really drives a dagger in me. But I will tell you guys, as always, we say thank you for your support, and hope this small blip in time will help you keep the light burning for Freemasonry. The world's history, many times over, has been written by Freemasonry, by some of the greatest Freemasons in all of our history. And don't forget, just because the world has basically stopped turning right now, doesn't mean that we can't continue to write the new chapters of Freemasonry. You know, they can't continue. We can't just let it stop. We want to always continue to write new chapters of Freemasonry, and so that we can leave something to our people who come after us. And brethren, the last thing I want to say to you, because I'm so hyped up right now, I may have to go in the garage and shout to the hilltops tonight. I can't really, I can't. Worst brother Bill, we ain't gonna talk on the Masonic code, because we're not gonna do that in this forum. We can do that in a private chat. But brethren, be all ye of one mind.
As Bill and Ted said in the first TED Talk, be excellent to each other.
Yes, and also remember that we're all born from the same stock. And we're going to all end up in the same fate. So why not love one another while you're here? Why not be good to each other?
It takes a lot less energy than hating each other.
Yes, it does. Be good. And as my good friend who lives in Houston, Georgia, says, sometimes you just got to love on them.
Don't know who that would be.
And, you know, the other cliche, as I've said in every show so far, you know, if it's to be, it's up to me. And we love you, brethren. And next week we'll send out
it'll be Thursday, 2 days from now.
2 days from now. We'll send out a blip. I don't know if we'll have something this in depth with what we want to do. It may be a little lighter on Thursday. We don't know. These things sort of go where they go. I know we're almost in an hour tonight, but the fact is it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Worst brother Ivy says, wants me to say it again. Be excellent to each other.
That's right,
brethren. We couldn't do this without you. Absolute thanks go out to every one of you. I know the folks that couldn't be here wanted to be here, and for other reasons, whatever reasons, they couldn't, just like brethren at our lodges.
Ed, we love you, brother.
Brethren, please remember when you're on your bended knees to remember our local, state, and national leaders, our military, all those contractors working overseas, all our healthcare professionals, especially at this time. Please remember them when you're on your bended knees in devotion. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're probably going to set up the next cast later tonight, so you'll get a notification if you've got the notifications turned on, when it's going to be, what it's going to be. Please come to our Facebook, post any comments, suggestions for topics, whatever. We've got Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We've got an email set up, and I've got a link in our show notes called streamer links or something like that. They'll take you to a page and it'll show you all of our links to our YouTube and all that, so you don't have to write them all down. It's one link to know to get to all of our stuff. But we enjoyed this. Over 50 people joined us tonight. We've got 120 subscribers on our channel, and we couldn't do any of this without you. So, brethren, with that, we love you. Good night. We'll see you in a couple of days.
See you later.